Good morning, everybody. So today I'm going to show you how to take your armature that you've added on your tin foil onto and start fleshing it out to look more like the figure that you're trying to make. So this one I've already kind of completed, and this is the one that I'm going to show you on. So the main thing that we're going to be looking at is we're going to be building the structure for underneath for adding the clothes and also adding on the skeleton features. So like this top half, I am gonna have some of the rib cage show, and I'm also gonna have some of the backbone show. So I made this top part black. But this part down here, I'm gonna cover up with a completely different color. So this part right here doesn't matter what color I end up with. So right here you can see on this one that's completed, that had the black on the underneath, and then I laid that white area over the top to show the rib cage. And then you can also see that underneath here on my dress that I layered this fancy stuff over the top of just a leftover mix that I had. So this part here is a great thing to do for all those weird little pieces that you're not sure what to do with that were left over from other things that you have done. So one of the main things that you want to look at is, look at your design, see what it looks like, see what shapes you're trying to go for, and then check and make sure that the shape that you're trying to go for is actually the shape that you have in your tin foil, but smaller. And once you start adding clay on, if it's not looking the way you want it to, if it's too thick in one area or too thin in one area, you can always take the clay off and add some more on later. So when I go to add the clay on, I just stuck all my little extra pieces and I just rolled them out. So you can just use your pencil or a roller, whatever, really. And if you want to be super careful about it, you can kind of just push it with your fingers. But you're just trying to get it fairly flat because you don't need it to be super thick. So to add this on to your armature, you're just going to lay it over across the top of your armature and then squish it down. So this first part, it's all just about making it kind of match. You can use, your tool if you think you've got too much or not enough. You can cut this to different shapes that you need as you're filling stuff in. So like, I kind of want a little bit more of a curve back here. So I cut a little bit more of a curve into my clay. You can overlap things too. But basically you're just kind of layering this on, and then you want to blend it in and look for any spots where it's not thick enough, or like if there was a dent in your tin foil. So like right here for me, my tin foil is kind of dented, so it doesn't make a smooth transition right here. So for me, I might add a little bit of extra clay right here and a little bit more right here so I can smooth it. Or if I'm like, nope, I don't want it any thicker, I can always squish the tin foil a little bit more to make it more of a smooth transition. So this bottom section where I'm gonna cover over with a dress color anyway, I can just use whatever color I want. Now, if I want to keep her super, super skinny and I'm not gonna add on something fancy like this one here, I could use my color to just cover her over. But if you do choose to do that, make sure you make a lot of that color just so you don't run out right in the middle and then end up having to change the color of your dress partway through. So I'm gonna show real quick how to add on the black top part where your skeleton is gonna show a little bit. So like I said, I'm just gonna roll this out a little bit. And you don't have to use the popsicle sticks. You don't have to use this big roller. I'm just using that to make it a little bit quicker for the purposes of the video. But you can do it just with the little pencil or whatever else. Okay, so I've got my little, I made the black slab that I need, and I'm just gonna cut it off into little sections so that it kind of fits over the chest area. Now, I haven't decided how low in the front I wanna make my skeleton come, so I'm gonna leave the black all the way down to her waist just to make sure that it ends up being where I want it to be. So I'm just pushing it down, making it kind of match the tin foil where it touches in the back. I'm blending it together. I'm gonna have it go over her shoulder and kind of squish it down onto that neck piece. And we're going over the shoulder here. And I'm using some of that extra from the shoulder to kind of fill in the back area. So I gotta smooth that part in too. Now you do kind of want, or at least it works out good for me, I want to leave most of the shoulder uncovered for this part, but I am gonna have just a little bit of the shoulder covered, like this right here, just a little bit of the neck and a little bit of the shoulder, because that just gives me an easier area to add the skeleton bones onto. And then you just spend a little bit of time smoothing it out, make sure it looks really nice and smooth, because especially in areas that you are gonna see, you wanna make sure that you take the time to smooth it and make sure that it's the right shape. So this is when I start looking at generally my negative spaces. Here, I'll add this white paper. So what I look at, I don't tend to look at this spot right here. What I look at is the shape over here. So if I'm looking at the side shapes, this negative area and the space over here, I'm noticing that this part right here sticks out and comes in, and then this part right here is more of a gentle curve. So I want to fix that. So I want to make them both match the same way. So either I can push this side in and fix that negative space, or I can, you know, add more clay to this side. It's whichever side that I like better. So I do a lot of looking at the negative spaces throughout this part. But you're just gonna keep on layering clay and adding on the clay until you get the whole thing covered. Now on my other one that I have, so like I'm just gonna stick this right here. Stick it on there. If you have too much, you can always cut a little bit off and use that in another area. But the main thing is just making sure that you're squishing it on really good, and then spending a lot of time smoothing it out. Because if you leave this lumpy, then it's gonna stay lumpy. It's not gonna change. You have to actually fix it. And like I said at this part, if you get to this stage and you're looking at, you know, like, oh man, I added too much tin foil for the chest. You haven't baked anything yet, so just take it off and, you know, snip off with some scissors some of the little tin foil. And once you have this on here, spend a lot of time. Look at those little shapes on the negative space side, so you can make sure that you get everything nice and smooth, and just kind of smooth it down. All right. So once you do have it all nice and smooth and you've spent a lot of time, like I said, it doesn't matter what color this is, unless this is, you're trying to do this as the final dress. But it doesn't matter what color it is, it's just all about spending time smoothing. And like on this one, you can see I bulked out a little bit right here, so it looks like she's walking, so like it looks like her knee is coming forward. So you can do that, or you can leave it more of a straight shape on the side. Either way would be okay. So once you get to this stage, you're going to want to make sure you take your picture and turn that in for your checkpoint and teams, and then the next video will show you the next step. All right, thanks everybody.